Welcome back, Film Force fans. Get excited as we look back at all 18 MCU films in the countdown to Avengers Infinity War.
After 5 films of build-up, we finally got what we'd all been waiting for. The Avengers. The thing that had been teased at the post-credit scene of Iron Man, and we all blew our minds.
Who the hell are you? Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Okay, the Avengers. Now, love the first one. Yeah, the second one was alright, and I am super psyched and excited about the third one. I've got my tickets. Infinity War, I'm coming, baby. I'm coming.
So, the Avengers. What can be said about this movie that has not been said before? Not that much, to be honest. It was an adventure 4 years in the making, with a lot riding on it as it focused on several characters from several different films. And as the Marvel Cinematic Universe is still going on strong today, it's safe to say that they succeeded. But I will say that looking back on the movie now, it does feel a tad tame compared to some of the other big movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That being said, though, I still really do enjoy this movie.
By this time, we've seen all the characters before, no one new's really popping up, apart from the other little clip of Thanos and the Chitauri, or Chitauri. Fuck, they're cool.
Language!
They pop up, they're your pretty generic alien race of bad guys. They're humanoid, they're about the same size as us, they're ugly as fuck.
Gosh sake, watch your language.
And they've got this slight upper hand. They've got laser beams, and they've got these kind of flying jet ski things.
So, the first one. I think it did a really great job. I mean, this, telling the truth, it was actually the first ever Marvel film I ever saw. Because I wasn't really into it, but it got me hooked.
And in this film, blew them even further. I could not believe how good this film was. The fact that I had that many characters and they managed to give them all a decent story, apart from maybe one, okay? You know, but he just has a bow and arrow, what do you expect? Even though I do love Hawkeye.
Baby, I'm as super as they are.
One of the things I liked most about this movie was the characters. They all felt organically worked into the story, yes, even Hawkeye to a slightly lesser extent, and I liked how they all more or less felt like they were in character with their previous incarnations, and I liked how they played off of one another, especially Tony Stark and Captain America. Sure, they would have better interactions in later films, but as a starting off point, this was the start of something great.
Stark, we need a plan of attack.
I have a plan. Attack.
I think it was quite good that we saw Captain America take more of a captain stance. He would have kind of stepped up his leadership in this film and kind of, took that step up. So we saw him as the leader of the Avengers.
All right, listen up.
More so than the other characters who perhaps pulled ahead in their own films. We kind of, after watching one of their films, we thought, oh yeah, they were really good, Thor really good at leading, and Tony would lead this bit. But in this one, you've got Captain America stepping forwards, giving the orders. I think it worked really well.
And I liked how they were all utilized during the Battle of New York. Rather than it seeming like they were all just going to rush into the fight and just hit all their enemies really hard, there was a sense of strategy amongst it, with them all doing different things that played into their skill sets, with Captain America fighting the ground forces, as did Black Widow, the Incredible Hulk and Thor being heavy hitters, while Tony Stark took out whatever flyers he could, and Hawkeye was sitting on a rooftop taking out any strays and calling out patterns. It made the fight all the more thrilling, I guess you could say, and refreshing compared to other blockbuster giant battles, like something out of Transformers, for example.
What was so good about it is we'd grown to love these characters, and they brought them together and they still had their personality. They still weren't just one form team, they were learning, and it worked so well. The director Joss Whedon did a great job of giving everyone stories, lines, great comedic moments, and their own moments on screen. And let's not forget the best part of the movie, which is that shot where they all team up, or when Hulk says, "I'm always angry," and turns into the Hulk, even though that doesn't make sense, but hey, what do you expect?
I'm always angry.
Now, the only acting moment that really stood out to me was Tony Stark, because they're all great. They are all great. But the fact that you actually thought they would kill off Iron Man in the first film, I still watched and I think he's gonna die. He's going to die when he flies that missile up the wormhole. That's not a euphemism. And he was falling back to earth. I remember watching it thinking, oh my gosh, they're gonna kill Iron Man. They need stakes. They're gonna kill Iron Man. To be able to convey that, to think that they would actually kill their main character in their first team-up movie, to have that emotional impact. And then we had Loki as the villain. Even though I don't quite understand what his plan was, he is still a good villain.
That was the plan. Not a great plan.
And when he has that speech with Iron Man, and then Hulk just throws him, just literally slaps him either side. It's just these moments you didn't expect, and they were so well done. And the comedy worked in this film compared to maybe another Avengers film where there just seemed too many comedic moments. This worked for each of the characters, but you still had the emotion. You still had the rivalry in this film from Captain America and Tony Stark butting heads.
And I also liked some of the other smaller characters we got, like, Maria Hill. I had never heard of her before, but Cody Smulders made a good impression with the limited screen time she had. And of course, you can't fault anything that we get out of Nick Fury as played by Samuel L. Jackson. Even Gwyneth Paltrow, with her limited screen time as Pepper Potts, was still a joy to watch, thanks to her playful chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. And of course, we cannot forget about the man himself, Agent Coulson, as played by Clark Gregg. Sure, he might be alive in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now, but when he was killed off in the Avengers, it really surprised me, and when Nick Fury gave the "He Believed in Heroes" speech, it affected me as much as it affected the team. And I'm really hoping that Clark Gregg gets to be in at least one more Avengers movie. Though, well, it might not happen, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed regardless.
And then one of my favourite moments, unfortunately, is Phil Coulson's death. Who would have thought we'd have felt for an agent, just an agent, not even a main character? We were devastated when he died. I can't believe they made us, mourn for just Agent Coulson. He is a great character.
I can't really fault the film. It was action-packed. It lasted a long time. It also in the film, it was spaced over quite a wide time frame, which I quite like in films. I don't like films that are set in a small timeline. I feel it makes the film feel quite rushed. But this one was spread out.
What didn't I like about the movie? As I said, Loki's plan about riding on a jet ski around New York, yeah, not the best maybe. I didn't love that Hawkeye, this character you only just introduced to, is then mind controlled for half the movie. It just didn't work for that character, and he's got the short end of the stick, unfortunately.
Now, if I had any problems with this movie, it might be the fact that, well, sometimes it can be a tad slow. Like the scene where Loki gets brought aboard the helicarrier and everyone's wondering what his big plan is, and then Black Widow just somehow figures out that he wants the Hulk to go on a rampage based on flimsy evidence. It was a tad weird. And I also felt like some of the fights could be a tad weird to look at it from time to time, like when Captain America has his first fight with Loki.
And again, the biggest issue I think with the Avengers is the Phantom Menace syndrome, where all the soldiers just die as soon as the wormhole collapsed.
I think the things I really liked about this film is they didn't spend too long on backstory. They kind of got into it quite quickly, which is good. Because I think films where they drag on a lot of backstory, they're for the kind of individual character films. So this was great to kind of get into the thrill of it pretty quickly. And it was great to see everyone finally get together. I wasn't sure how they were going to do it, but I thought it went really, really well. I think out of 10, I'll give this a solid 7, definitely. If not, maybe 7.5. Really, really good.
It's just a really good film. It has everything you want in it. All the characters come together to fight one evil. I can't really fault the film. I'm sure I could find something if I really wanted to pick it apart. But I don't want to pick it apart because to me, it's one of the few flawless films out there, and I want to keep it that way. The whole cast really pulled their weight. I don't feel anyone let themselves down or let the team down, but also I don't think anyone really shone in their roles. Overall, Avengers 1 is a 10 out of 10.
I would rate this film a 9 out of 10. It's still not the best MCU movie ever, but it's up there. This just kept the momentum up. If this had failed, I doubt we would be where we are now, waiting for the 19th film to come out in the MCU.
I would probably give it an 8.8 out of 10. It still has a lot of its wow factor still intact, even if it might be a tad tame these days. I love the character interactions, and I loved how it felt like it was the beginning of something great in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, rather than feeling like it was going to be the end of all the good things to come. I am happy to watch this movie any day of the week, and I think I might go watch it right now, as a matter of fact.
Thank you for watching this episode of the MCU fan countdown to Avengers Infinity War. Make sure you check out everyone's links in the description below, and like and comment and share this video. And check out the video tomorrow. Until next time, bye.